So it's been about a day and a half since the Rayman Legends Retold trailer came out, so I thought it would be a good idea to look over the trailer again and see anything that we missed. So starting off with the beginning, we get a good look at Toad's story and Feast of the Dead. And for Feast of the Dead, this area kinda reminds me of the music level for that world. We then get our first good look at Rayman and Globox in the first area of the game. And this area is much different from the gameplay we get later on in the game, as this cutscene takes place after we beat the first world. For the first few gameplay clips, we can see that Once Upon a Time is way more detailed. Now of course that was gonna be obvious since this game is kind of a reimagining of the original game, but I just thought I'd bring it up since we can see that the castle is in way more detailed in the background. We can also see that Ropes Course got a little bit more detail as well, as there's now houses in the background. For Castle Rock, we can see that the background is also a little bit different here, as before it was mostly castles, but this time it's more of a mountain backdrop. Now granted, it's not the entire level, but it's still nice to see here. For the next part, in what I think is a cutscene, we get to see Barbara and Grand Minimus join the group. Now given that this is a retelling of Rayman Legends, it makes me wonder if they're gonna redo Barbara's introduction. Despite the fact that she was advertised quite heavily, her actual introduction in the game was kind of anticlimactic and a bit disappointing. So while this scene may have just been for the trailer, it still makes me wonder if this is gonna be a possible introduction for her character. When we go to the next scene, when we see the Bubble Dreamer, we see that the Snoring Tree is much different than how it was in the original game. All of the paintings are now gone and it just looks like a little hut for him to live in. In the next few scenes, we can see the group getting ready to face off against a bunch of dragons, and unlike the original game, I don't think we've ever seen these dragons in the white and orange color. But right after, they're eventually calmed down with these calming biscuits as the Bubble Dreamer puts them. And while we don't know why they're in the shape of Murphy's face, I'ma chalk it up to the Bubble Dreamer doing it to be funny. For the next few gameplay sections, we actually get to see the dragon levels in action this time around. And from what we know, these are basically gonna act as our transition into brand new worlds. But right after, we finally get a look at one of the brand new levels that they're adding. We don't know which world it's gonna be added to, but I imagine this is gonna be one of the brand new music levels. We then get a brief look at what Castle in the Clouds is gonna look like. The next few scenes go by pretty quickly. We do get a brief look at a brand new stage, and if I had to guess, this has to be an Olympus Maximus. We then get a good look at Spoiled Rotten and Ropes Course. For Spoiled Rotten, it seems like it retained most of its original look, but just like before, for Ropes Course, it seems like they added a little bit more detail in the background. We then get to see what the dragon levels for Toad's Story and Feast of the Dead look like. And I like that in Feast of the Dead, it seems like we're gonna be traveling through a town as we get to the next world. We then get a brief look at what Altitude Quickness is gonna look like, but right after, we get to see another food themed level. And I think this one is gonna be in Feast of the Dead just because we can see the mariachis in the background. We then get to see the mysterious inflatable island, and unlike the original where we were just surrounded by a body of water, they added a bunch of small islands in the background. We then get a good look at the music stage, and just like everything else with the game, it looks really detailed this time around. Next up, we have to group in what has to be Olympus Maximus, as we can see a Globox statue in the background, which looks very reminiscent of the ones in the original game. And finally, we get to see what Swarmed and Dangerous looks like, and we can actually see here that they changed up how the exit looks. We get a few cutscenes right after, and here we can see what seems to be the moon hovering over some sort of light source. Now, in case some of you don't know, apparently there's going to be this brand new power of light mechanic in the game, and we also know that the mechanic is going to be designed around the Land of the Living Dead. And speaking of which, we actually get to see what it's going to look like in this game, and I'm not gonna lie, some of the shots here kind of remind me of that one cut level from the original game. I think it was called Drax's Nightmare, and while it's too early to judge now, I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled some original ideas from that world. We then get to see the brand new villain, and while we don't know who he is or what he looks like, from what we are given, we know that he sounds somewhat young, he's short in height, and has metal claws, so it's not really a whole lot to go off of. In the next scene, we get to see Rayman and the group facing off against the Armored Toad in Toad's Story, and one thing of note is that the Armored Toad's eyes are glowing pink just like that thing from before. So if you ask me, I generally do think this power of light thing is gonna be the main point of conflict in the game. The next few gameplay sections are basically a montage of the characters running through different stages. We get to see Globox and Barbara in what seems to be a brand new stage for 2000 Lumps Under the Sea, Barbara and Grand Minimus in Enchanted Forest and Creepy Castle, and finally Grand Minimus and Rayman in There's Always a Bigger Fish and A Madman's Creation. We then see Rayman and the rest of the group traveling in what seems to be the Land of the Living Dead. As they confront him, we see the villain holding a glowing orb which seems to be the power of light. We then get this brief moment where we can see the magician laughing, and while we don't know if he's going to be teaming up with the main villain, considering they were the main antagonists of the original game, I have a good feeling he's going to play a major point of contention mentioned in this game as well. And just like with the armored toad from before, we can see the bosses from 3 different worlds have these pink glowing eyes, which if you ask me has to be from the influence from this brand new power that the main villain has. And as the trailer closes out, we see the main villain use this ability as he calls out Rayman. So even though we don't know who this is, just from the way he's talking, he seems to know who Rayman is and has some sort of vendetta against him. But with that is the end of the trailer and all I could really find and analyze. With that, I'd hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have a few more Rayman videos in the works, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see y'all next time.